Hello and welcome to our show, Growing Up Strong. I'm Tony May. This show is all about helping you and your family grow up healthy, safe, and strong. How do we do that? Well, by sharing tips and programs that anyone can get involved in. It doesn't matter if you're a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, a caretaker, maybe a teacher. We have information just for you. Tonight's information is all about mentoring. You probably have heard of the word, or maybe you have been a mentor yourself, but you may not realize the impact it makes on our very own community. Joining me this evening is a list of experts who are going to help us understand it all and maybe inspire you to be a mentor. Welcome this evening, James Green and Gary Graham. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rev.
James, you're very involved with a program that was launched a couple years ago through the county. Why don't you tell us something about it and who it targets?
Okay, the My Brother's Keeper initiative is the president's signature program to improve life outcomes for boys and young men of color. It's housed at the Palm Beach County Youth Services Department, and is really a coalition of public and private entities that have come together to improve life outcomes with education and economics. And there are three components to this initiative. One is the mentoring initiative, where we are recruiting male mentors, females as well, but we really need male mentors to work with the United Way Mentoring Center, which you'll hear a little bit more about shortly. So we're helping to recruit mentors for the Mentoring Center and making sure that our kids are matched with adults that could help guide them throughout their life. The other part is the policy review, where we are working with a number of governmental entities to look at their policies, to look at the data, and determine whether or not those policies are working for us or against us. And then the third part is the My Brother's Keeper Conference, which I'm really excited about. Well, we'll be bringing in thought leaders from across the country to work with our community organizers and our community leaders to develop a comprehensive strategic plan to move forward promoting racial equity and justice throughout Palm Beach County.
Well, we're focused mainly on the mentoring for this. And why target men of color specifically for a mentor program?
It's important for our youth to know what a man is really about. And sometimes when we look in our education system, when we look just throughout society, they're getting negative images about men of color. And there are a lot of men out there that are doing great, great things. And so it's important for them to see who those men are, to know exactly what they're doing to uplift their community, and to get involved civically.
I know that you mentioned the Mentor Center funded by Children's Services Council. Gary, you head that up each and every day. What does the Mentor Center do?
Wow, big question. Well, there's a few different things that we do. First of all, we're a local affiliate of National Mentoring Partnership, which is the governing body that makes and determines what makes a quality mentoring program. Locally, what we do here mainly is concentrating in a few different areas. The first thing is mentor and mentee recruitment. The second thing is technical assistance and training. And then the third one is advocacy and programmatic technical assistance.
When you talk about mentoring and really holding these programs up to a standard, there is a standard now. In other words, back 20 years ago, I think you could just be a mentor, sign up, here I am. But really there's some baseline that the Mentor Center really has to make sure these programs meet every day.
Yes, so we're going to get into a little nerd talk for mentors.
It's okay, we like nerd talk.
Okay. So the main overarching body of all programs which determines quality is called the elements of effective practice. These 6 elements, all the way from mentee and mentor recruitment through match closure, help programs determine how to make a strong mentoring program and a quality mentoring program, not only keeping themselves safe, but also keeping mentors and mentees safe in their program as well.
And I think one of the things I read when I was researching for this is years ago, probably about 1999, 2000, Florida was a leader in mentoring. But then again, funding, we always hear this, funding got cut, things kind of went backwards. And what you two are doing through, with the help of CSC and other funders is really kind of putting it back out there. And I think the need for mentors is probably one of the biggest headlines of both of your programs, right?
It is. It's a huge need. And the reason why some things change is because leaders change in certain positions, but the message also changes. With mentoring, the message is always stayed the same, and it's a message any leader can get behind, which is every child could benefit from a strong, supportive, caring adult.
And what I read is with mentorship of a strong, caring adult, grades obviously do better. We're sitting in a library, we all think of mentoring, oh, reading to the student or helping the student learn to read. But there's so much more to it than just grades and making sure they graduate high school. Very important things, not downplaying it. But James, it's just that relationship, especially for young men, that is really crucial to their success in every aspect.
Absolutely. Most of us know someone in our lives that growing up who really was a tremendous influence on us. And I know that I have mentors even today that help lead and guide my decisions. And growing up, it was the same. And so having that relationship with a caring adult, someone that you can go and talk to about some of the many challenges that youth are facing today is critically important, and research supports that.
Gary, what if somebody's watching and they're thinking, okay, maybe I can do that? What is a commitment? I know you have a bunch of different programs, but there is some basic commitments that a person has to do so that that relationship isn't another one that, oh, they're into my life and out of my life.
Right. So what we ask for is there's different types of programs: school-based program, community-based program, and community center program or site-based program. So the commitment is pretty much the same for all programs. For a school or site-based program, we ask for a minimum of 1 school year commitment. So be with the child through the entire school year, through finals, through tests, through the end of the year. For a community-based program, we ask for 1 calendar year commitment. And that's because you're able to do different things in the community, even through the summer months, when the mentor and mentee are able to meet on their own. The reason we ask for this commitment is because research shows that if a mentor relationship ends in less than 4 months, sometimes it has very negative results. Okay. So we always ask for at least a calendar year. It's the last question that we always ask on our survey for potential mentors is, can you make a year commitment to a child?
And I know you mentioned young men of color. You need, obviously, older men of color as mentor. But the mentees that you're working with, there's several different groups.
Oh, yeah.
So is there all kind of mentors needed, whether it be men of color, women of color, young college students? I mean, can almost anyone find a program that they would match with?
There's so many different ways for you to fit in, and for so many different focus areas and demographics. We have now programs that are specifically for youth on the autism spectrum. We have programs now for pregnant teenagers in high school. We have programs for teen moms in high school. So, I mean, if you want to mentor in an elementary school, we have programs for you. So it runs a gamut of everywhere.
And it's extremely important that those who are out there know that you can do one-on-one mentoring. You can do the group mentoring where you go in and just talk to groups of kids about your profession or about leadership or entrepreneurship, whatever the case may be. Or you can do professional mentoring. We really need our business community to step up and to open doors for our kids. That means creating internship opportunities for them, volunteer opportunities for them. And so there are 3 different ways to get involved.
Before we wrap up this part of the show, I'd like to ask you for a brief kind of success story, because we've talked about why do this. We've talked about the benefit to a mentee, but why, you must have a story, because it's been about a year or more now, right, for you?
It's been a year for this particular initiative. But why? Why? Because right now, our kids need our help. There are so many kids who are not problem kids, who are not the best kids in terms of academics, that are just falling through the cracks. I know that 2 of the kids that I have mentored, they just started college. They went to Palm Beach State College. And it was March of earlier this year, and many of them they knew what they wanted to do, but they had not made any advances towards doing it. And they didn't, because our guidance counselors are so overwhelmed, they hadn't been connected. And so good mentors will be able to connect them and make sure that they're not falling through the cracks. And it's very rewarding for mentors to see that they're making a difference in the lives of kids and possibly changing the trajectory of kids' lives.
For sure. Gary?
Well, we had a great example of a success story a couple weeks ago. We had a gentleman, Will Nick Gideon, who's now the dean at Boca Raton Community High School. He was a mentee in Take Stock in Children years ago. And he said he never knew college was a possibility for him until the mentor showed him a piece of paper and said, hey, man, you know college is a possibility for you. And he never thought he was college material. So now, here he is now a mentor in Take Stock in Children with 2 mentees. So it's weird that you tend to think of these kids as problem kids, but they're not. They just need somebody to shine a light on them. And you'd be surprised, kids can't live up to low expectations. So when you have high expectations for a kid, they step up to the bar.
Well, that's the perfect ending. And matter of fact, thank you both, because we got to spend some time with the gentleman you just spoke about. So we're going to have that story now and find out more about his story. Don't miss this. We'll be right back.
And when I got into 6th grade, I started to realize where I was and what my family was going through. My name is Wilton Gideon. I'm the dean at Boca Raton Community High School, and I am a product of mentoring. Mother and stepdad made $16,000 to raise a household of 6 kids. That was very tough. I recall situations where me, my brothers, my 2 older brothers slept in the same bed. Life was very difficult. For a kid, in my age, this was in middle school, when you have to deal with that kind of situation, it's very hard to think about school. To think about your future. What's going on, man? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, so let's talk about this UCF application I told you to do on Friday.
Yeah, I'm
How's
almost
that
done
going?
with it. I met Mr. Gideon, I think, 10th grade year. And before that, he wasn't a dean yet. And then my junior year, he became my dean. And we became closer. And now I just come to him for a lot of stuff.
Well, a mentor wears many different hats. A mentor is a friend unconditionally of the child. They build a relationship based on trust, kindness, caring, compassion, good listening skills, being creative, taking them out, participating in cultural, educational, recreational activities in the community, and helping build a bond with the child so that 10 years down the road, the child has some guidance outside of the family that may help them to succeed, graduating high school, going on to college.
Oh, I really wanted to go to LSU, and I asked her about it, and she was like, they probably still could pay for like schooling and stuff.
So now it's about getting the applications in. Sometimes your mentees don't really necessarily want to hear you, they just want to be heard. And sometimes you just gotta listen to them.
My mentee is a very terrific, capable young woman. Her name is Tatiana. She was a student from Lake Worth High School.
I'm so happy you finally came.
She has a toddler herself. I think now Jamal is probably about 3 years old, and she has really met and exceeded program's expectation since she did graduate high school, and she maintained a good GPA, and I understand is enlisted in college now.
I am in the nursing program. I'm in between schools. I'm still debating what school I want to go to, but I'm enrolled in a nursing program. I don't know what school yet, but I'm definitely going for nursing. I want to be a neonatal nurse.
Kind of like I got both jobs and they pay me for my mileage. So I get paid.
Having a mentor, I would say, is the best thing you can do or have, only because you can't always talk to your family. I know that for a fact. When I found that I was pregnant, I could not tell my family at all. So having her there and letting her know that, oh, I had a baby, she knew that because she was my mentor. But having her as a mentor, there were certain things you can tell your mentor only that you can't tell anyone else.
And so that's something that I carry along as I work with my students. I want to hear what they have in mind. And I also want to tell them that whatever you have in mind, you can do it. You can do it. You don't feel like you can't do it.
It's that good parent that I can see you doing it, so just do it. And I'm not gonna give you anything like mess about it. I'm behind you, I'm backing you up. Just keep getting it done.
From 6th to 8th grade, I had one mentor when I lived in Broward County. And then when I moved to Palm Beach County, I wound up having 2 mentors, and they co-mentored. Each mentor instilled in something in me. Like the mentor that I had in middle school got me to focus more on my grades. I didn't realize how valuable that was. And then the guys in high school taught me to look beyond high school and into college, into later on in my career, and what I was going to be doing. I don't think I would have really done much in my life or would be giving back to my community like I am doing now if it wasn't for mentoring. And if we don't reach out for them, we can't keep, blaming them for what they're going through. We have to reach out and try to assist them and do the best that we can to ensure that we have 1,900 new mentors to assist us in our, in their vision, so that they can be great leaders in the future. So you don't repeat the cycle. You gotta do everything that your parents didn't do. That's applying to school when you're supposed to apply to school, but also have football stuff together too.
Before, I didn't really like coming to school, but now I come to school, get work done, and I look forward to coming to school. Oh, I want to be a mechanical engineer. I'm extremely interested in cars and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, this is it.
Many of those mentors only got to be mentors thanks to funding from the Children's Services Council and its Mentor Center. Joining me now is Lisa Williams-Taylor, the CEO of the Children's Services Council. Welcome again.
Thank you very much for having me.
So we talked to Gary and James about the specifics of programs, but a lot of what's happening in Palm Beach County around mentoring just wouldn't be without the funding you all provide. Why mentoring as a theme and as a target for CSC dollars?
Well, we fund 14 mentoring programs, and it's important for us because that's part of our work that we're doing around youth development. We've been funding mentoring for as long as I can remember, and it's really, really important for our kids so that they can grow up healthy, safe, and strong.
And I know you have so many programs. They just run the gamut from birth all the way up to some of the teenagers we saw. Mentoring, though, is kind of a specific thing. How do you and your board decide, yeah, this is somewhere where we're willing to risk a little money? Because let's face it, mentoring sometimes doesn't work, as you heard, Gary say.
Right. Well, we've spent quite a bit of time looking at the research and the data, and we invest in programs that we know have a good impact. Specifically around youth development, we're looking at programs that improve academic success. They've been shown to impact self-awareness and positive self-esteem, decrease alcohol and drug use, really targeting some of those risk-taking behaviors that sometimes kids get involved with.
And James mentioned, his program, sponsored also by, the Washington and the president, but you didn't specific target one stereotype when you looked at the programs that you fund. You're kind of making sure everybody, I'm assuming, has a chance at being a mentor or being a mentee if they want to?
Definitely, because children of all types have need a caring adult in their life. We know that research has shown that one person that can be a role model, can provide advice, and just be a really caring person and a good friend to our youth can have such wonderful, wonderful impacts on their life long term.
And the Mentor Center also kind of brings them together. In other words, we see a lot of repetitive services in some areas in Palm Beach County, and people have said, well, why do you need this one, and this one? Well, that's why you all decided, well, let's just make sure everyone's in their own little niche. They're, filling, as you said, the different needs of the community, and kind of all going in the same path. Is that kind of what the Mentor Center is doing?
And it really ensures that we have the best practices and the best programs. We also know that if a mentee and a mentor are not matched correctly and there's a falling out or they're no longer together, it can have really detrimental effects to those children, especially our children that are most vulnerable, that don't have somebody that they can rely on regularly in their life. Then that's just another trauma that they're experiencing. So there's all these best practices, and the Mentor Center really focuses on that. They do background checks to make sure that those that are mentoring our most vulnerable are upstanding, wonderful citizens. And so again, they take all of that into effect to make sure that we have the best programs available.
In your opinion, because you spend a lot of time on the road, so to speak, watching the different programs, whether it be mentoring or prenatal or postnatal, in your opinion, is there a special skill to being a mentor in one of these programs that you've taken a look at?
As far as I think it's really, they need to be invested in the children and really wanting to better the child's life and be there for them. They have to be really committed. So if you don't have that person, that committed person, they're never going to be a great mentor. It's never going to be a good match. So those types of skills, and somebody that's sometimes been through it in the past, that can provide some of what they went through and how to stay on the right course and stuff like those types of things. But anybody can be a mentor. It's really wanting to do what's best for children and caring for children.
Thank you. You always say it so eloquently when I'm stumbling through it. So thank you. And we're going to put up your information from CSC and the Mentor Center so that people can click on and find out more. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
You might want to jot this down. We're going to be back with more in just a moment. So you've heard from the experts that are in the trenches. Now we're going to hear from a council member who helps make the decisions of where the funding goes when it comes to all of the programs Children's Services Council funds. Welcome, Tom Weber. You're the vice chair of the council. And I know you have a history of kind of supporting education and different programs. You've been on boards. Why is that important to you?
Well, obviously children are very important to us both as families, but in our neighborhoods and societies. And Children's Services Council really does a great job. I've been on the board a couple years, and we really focus on the needs, and then when we find the right solutions or goals, we set goals and we really monitor it. And one of the things I love about the council meetings is when we come in, we will go through those numbers and charts to make sure we're on track with where we're funding this money. But the real love of it is when the different organizations will bring in their people, and it may be some of their mentors, it'll be their families or children or community people that have been impacted by some of these programs. And there's where you really get the real heartfelt sign that you're doing something right.
You're so right, like the story we saw a few moments ago, exactly, the real life stories. So part of what you do is fund mentoring on the council, because we've been talking about that as our focus this evening. What do you think? You were on the Junior Achievement, I think you're on the Junior Achievement Board, Education Foundation. What do you think of mentoring when it comes to really helping kids get through school and get through life?
I think that's so important, and if I could take a step back on that, about 10 years ago, I volunteered to get involved in working in the state prisons and talking and seeing the stories I heard there, and it was a common story was back, well, when I was a child, or I didn't have a father, or I was lacking these things in life. And I realized we've got a cycle that has to be broken, and you got to get it when they're young and where you can really help them and get them on the right track. And again, mentoring is a great way to do that.
If somebody, I mean, certainly I didn't know that, so you have a vast history of the different pieces of what it takes to help a child through. Why should somebody mentor, in your opinion?
Well, because the impact you can have on that child, his family, and the community is very powerful, and it can keep them from going to the ultimate, incarceration, which we don't want to see anybody head that way, and the consequences involved. The other key thing is for a mentor is they get something out of that as well, and that's a key thing, because you're giving, there's give and take there, and it's very rewarding to everybody involved.
I'm sure you get this. When I speak about the Children's Services Council, a lot of people say, well, I've seen it on my home, owner's the tax bill, but I don't really get what they do. You've been on the council, you're the vice chair. What would you tell people about Children's Services Council and the work they do, broadly, specifically we're talking about mentoring, but broadly, that they might not realize, happens each and every day right here in Palm Beach County?
The impact you have, and and as a businessman, you know, I look at it from the economic side of things, and the amount of money you're saving in terms of people with health problems, with people that are incarcerated, that commit crimes, that have other needs that happen if you don't have this kind of a basis. And I think this really helps people, children, single mothers, parents, be able to get up and get on their own in terms of living a good life. And that's what we all want.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your time and explaining it from your point of view rather than, you know, somebody running a nonprofit's point of view, because you do have that look at how important it is to the overall health and well-being of our community, not just one person. Thank you so much.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. I know we've given you a lot of information, so we're going to put up some of the web links again, and certainly CSC's. All you have to do is click or call, and you can find out more about mentoring or any of the programs that Children's Services Council funds each and every day. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next time on Growing Up Strong.